Yo, what is up guys? It's me, exactly. I missed an upload. I know I missed an upload. I'm supposed to make daily NBA videos, and I had been making daily NBA videos, except the thing is, when you do that, sometimes you get sick. Sometimes even though I was sick, I would still make a video, but yesterday my body and mind were just saying, no, you can't go anymore. I tried making a video, but I just couldn't do it. But I am feeling just a bit better today, so we are back on the grind. Enough of that though. A couple of weeks ago maybe, I said in a video that everyone in the top 10, all of the rookies that were selected in the top 10 this year, get a lot of shine. Everyone is talking about them. There is no such thing as a player in the lottery this year who isn't the most hyped thing since the discovery of fried chicken. That's what I said, and that's not true. That wasn't true at all. Actually, I noticed that thanks to most of you guys in the comment section pointing out some players that were selected in the top 10 who don't receive much hype at all. Jonathan Isaac, Lauri Markkanen, Zach Collins, none of those guys get talked about. Whether it's because people thought they should have been selected later in the draft, or it's just because of the team they were drafted to. I'm not gonna lie, for me, I was excited about Jonathan Isaac heading into the draft. I thought he has a lot of potential. He still does. But once I saw that the Orlando Magic picked him, I was like, well, he had a good career, but it's over now. But I'm getting off topic here. This video is not meant to rip the Magic. The other guy who gets zero shine even though he was selected in the top 10 is that Frank kid. Frank Ntilikina. People barely know how to pronounce his last name. I barely knew how to pronounce his last name until I learned how. And even now I still just call him that Frank kid because it's easier to say. And it's not even that people just don't know how to spell or say his last name, it's that people don't just know much about him at all. Even I didn't know too much about him. All I knew is what the draft scouts were telling us. That he's a raw talent, has good court vision, he's athletic, has crazy wingspan, a good defender, just all of that basic stuff that these draft scouters say about some of the NBA prospects. And then you hear those things and you search up, you look up his stats from the EuroLeague last year and you see 5 points and 1.5 assists per game. And you're just like, I don't get it. How on earth is a guy that averaged 5 points and 1 assist per game one of the top prospects in this year's draft? How does that guy even get to the NBA draft? How do they not kick him out upon entrance? That would be like LeVar Ball back in the day trying to declare for the NBA draft when he was dominating with his 2.2 points per game. And then you look at him and he was selected 8th overall by the Knicks. I mean, why wouldn't they take a guy like Dennis Smith Jr. or Malik Monk instead of that Frank kid? We all know those guys are going to be able to hang and have long, successful careers in the NBA. That Frank kid, on the other hand, received a 59% chance of being a bust on draft night. ESPN gave him a 59% chance of being a bust, the highest chance of being a bust out of anyone selected in the lottery. Well, that's the Knicks for you. You know, they did it again. Their front office has a way of messing up a good thing. Even in a draft like this year's where it's stacked to the limit, they still found a way to draft the worst possible player they could have gotten. Not really. European basketball is a whole different breed from the NBA, from the basketball that we know. The guys over in Europe don't put up flashy stats, period. I mean, take a look at Luka Doncic, for example. That guy is getting a lot of hype for next year's draft. He's being put on the same level as guys like Marvin Bagley and Michael Porter Jr. You know, plenty of articles have come out asking, is he the best draft prospect ever in NBA history? Is he the best draft prospect that we have ever seen? He is the best European player that we've seen in the 21st century. I mean, when you hear that, you might think, oh, this guy must be killing it. I mean, he must be out there getting buckets, getting assists, rebounds, just doing everything, like straight up killing it on the court. And then once again, look at his stats and you see that he averaged 7 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists per game, and you're like, I still just don't get it. How is that the best draft prospect in NBA history? 7 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists per game is all it takes? Well, once again, like I said, European basketball is a completely different breed than the NBA. The games are shorter, the style of play is slower, and just the entire game is different. In the NBA, you see all these guys who are just these insane scoring talents, can easily go out there in any given night and drop 30 points. In Europe, though, it's more of a team sport. The best way I can describe it is you take the San Antonio Spurs. We all know the style of basketball the Spurs play. So you take that and add about an extra 5 or 6 passes per possession, and then you have something similar to how the game is played in Europe. See, when a game is played like that, one guy is almost never the entire focal point of the team's offense. Instead of having one guy go out there and score around 30 points, and the rest of the guys score somewhere around 10 to 15 points, you have one guy score maybe 15 to 17 points, while everyone else on the team scores around 10 points. All you have to do to confirm this is just look at the scoring leader from the European season last year. The biggest scorer in the EuroLeague last year averaged 21 points per game. That's laughable by NBA standards. 21 points per game, and that's seen as an extremely high scoring average over there in Europe. After that, you see guys at 17, 16, 15, and then you go down to number 5. You see Shane Larkin. That's a guy that used to play in the NBA, by the way. 13 points per game, the 5th highest scoring average in the EuroLeague in the 2016-2017 NBA season. 13 points per game. You had plenty of people coming off the bench this last NBA season who put up more than 13 points per game. So that shows you that scoring isn't everything. Well, it still matters because the highest score wins, but scoring isn't as prevalent over there in Europe as it is here in the States. And then the same thing goes for everything else as well. With assists, when everyone is passing the ball, when the ball is constantly moving, it's not going to be one guy who racks up 10, 11, 12, 20 assists like over here in the States. And instead, you're going to see a bunch of guys with 4, 5, or 6 assists in Europe. That's why the highest assist leader from last season only averaged 6 assists per game. We have centers in the NBA averaging 6 assists per game. We have ball hogs in the NBA averaging more than 6 assists per game. So you can't take just stats from the EuroLeague and directly compare them to stats from players in college in the States or in the NBA, because it's not going to be a fair comparison at all. And that's also why it's seen as a risk to draft European players. Since when scouts are scouting these guys, all they can do is watch them play and try and envision how their skill set will transfer over to the NBA. And that's made even more challenging by the fact that most of the young guys, like the 18-year-olds that play over in the EuroLeague, only get around 15 to 20 minutes per game. On top of that, there aren't nearly as many games in a season over there. The scouts really don't have a large sample size to see these guys play. So it is risky. But back to that Frank kid though. What does all of this have to do with him and the Knicks picking him? Well, he is still an unknown. Even after all of this, he is still an unknown. Like I said, I was pretty sick yesterday, and I was planning on making this video about that Frank kid yesterday, and I did a bunch of research. I wanted to find out more about him, but I just couldn't. I watched film after film, so many highlights, but all I could see from the clips is what the scout said. He is really athletic. I mean, he does have a really long wingspan, which will help him on the defensive end. He made some really nice passes. He's a good ball handler. He played nicely in the pick and roll, which by the way will also help a lot with Kristaps Porzingis. I can't wait to see how those two operate in the pick and roll. He seemed to have a pretty high basketball IQ, seemed mature. Just all of the exact same things that the scouts were saying about him. So that's all we know about that Frank kid. And come to think of it, it's not too much different than what we know about some of the players that were drafted out of college. At the end of the day, most teams draft players based on a list of strengths and weaknesses that and what they see from them in their closed door tryouts or their practices or their workouts, whatever they hold for the players. The only difference is that you can kind of see how a player from college will translate to the NBA, since the college game is more similar to the NBA than the European games are. So I guess that's where the extra risk comes from when selecting a player like Frank Ntilikina. But regardless of that, well, maybe not all, but most NBA draft prospects coming out of college have a significant amount of risk attached to their name. And I just want to say that I have no idea how on earth ESPN gave this guy a 59% chance of being a bust. Like, after everything I've watched, after all the highlights, after everything the scouts said, I just don't see how they gave this guy such a high risk for being a bust, obviously just because he's from overseas. He has the skills. He's also been putting in a lot of work this summer too. Anytime you have those two things, you have potential, you have skills, and you have the work ethic, you are going to be just fine in the NBA. You keep working at it, there's no way you can fail. But he is still probably the most unknown player heading into this NBA season. And the biggest unknown about him right now is just how good he could actually be. Question of the day time, how good do you guys think Frank Ntilikina, that Frank kid, could be? Do you guys think he will ever be an all-star type player at any point in his career? Let me know what you think down in the comment section below, but now let's take a look at what you guys said last time. And last time I asked you guys if you think the Kyrie Irving Isaiah Thomas trade will be voided, and here is what you said. Question of the day, I think the Cavs will void the trade and ask for another draft pick from the Celtics. The Cavs can't have Kyrie because he's being a drama queen. The Celtics can't have Isaiah Thomas back too. So I think the Celtics will give the Cavs another draft pick. Question of the day, I don't think Danny Ainge will give up another pick for Kyrie. He's been so protective of these picks and all of a sudden he's giving multiple away. I don't think the trade will be voided. I don't think anything else will even be added to the trade. At this point, it just seems like the Cleveland Cavaliers are being greedy. They knew going into the trade that Isaiah Thomas was hurt. Let's be for real here. And now that they got the trade, they're just trying to act like Isaiah Thomas might be hurt worse than they thought he was so they can try and fleece some more stuff out of the Boston Celtics. I just don't think Danny Ainge is going to give into that, and I don't think the Cavs are going to get anything more from the Celtics. I also don't think they'd be willing to call off the trade since they really did want that draft pick that they got along with the trade. But that's it though. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more daily NBA videos, and until tomorrow, keep getting the buckets, Team SDC, and I'm out of here. Peace!